Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin, and on today's episode, we intend to wrap up our NFL predictions for the 2025-2026 NFL season. We have already started and are halfway through with our predictions, as in our previous episodes, we have covered the AFC and NFC East and West, as we predicted that the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Los Angeles Rams finishing at the top of their division. We also have the New England Patriots, Denver Broncos, Los Angeles Chargers, and the Seattle Seahawks, who we think is going to make an interesting run for a wild card position in the postseason this year. Before we get started on our predictions for both divisions, the final two divisions, I want to take a moment and thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys like these episodes and this podcast, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Also, hit the like, share button and share it with your friends. It's the NFL season. It's a fun time. A lot of sports are going on as we continue our sports product. This isn't your typical podcast, as it is a pre-recording posted at a later date because of schedule conflict during the time. That's why this episode is strictly towards the AFC and NFC North and South predictions, and an upcoming episode as we get ready for the first games of the NFL season. We will recap and review all the games in week one. We would also provide our prediction, something to look forward to. Also going on our channel, you guys could check out our gaming portion where we game the WWE 2K Universe mode. We also give you simulations of our MLB The Show and of our Madden 25. Or Madden 26 now. Things to look forward to in the upcoming week, as we have had Raw. We just enjoyed a Labor Day back on Monday. We have our week one predictions coming up on Thursday. We have our Madden 26 NFL season begins as the Dallas Cowboys take on the Philadelphia Eagles. We also have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Los Angeles Chargers on Friday night. Then we also have a Bengals and Browns game on Sunday at 1 p.m. And that's towards the Madden 26 franchise mode as we play as the Cincinnati Bengals. We have Sunday night football with the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Capping off week one on Monday night, we will have the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. In our MLB The Show, you guys were treated with a doubleheader on Labor Day as the Reds played host to the Blue Jays, and Milwaukee hosted the Philadelphia Phillies. All four teams in competition for our MLB The Show 25 franchise mode playoffs. Then we come back on Saturday, as I have my notes here, as the Dodgers take on Baltimore at Camden Yards. And on Sunday, we will have the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the New York Yankees on a Sunday night baseball. Major League Baseball is winding down, and a lot of playoff implication games are intended to be previewed. We do not yet have an establishment for what's to come during the playoff season, although we intend to do our best to provide as many games as possible. A little look ahead on our podcasting schedule, as this week will be covered through a pre-recording. Therefore, there is not live updates of situations that are going on. around the world of sports. When we come back the following week, we'll tend to catch you all up on Cincinnati Bengals football, Cincinnati Reds and where they stand in the playoff race, as well as local college sports teams such as the Kentucky Wildcats and the Cincinnati Bengals, as those two are our main focus throughout the course of the season. As I mentioned, if you like this podcast, I encourage you to like and share. Also, subscribe and have those notifications on so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get right down to it. I'm gonna try to save the best for last, but we're gonna start off in the AFC South, as this is one of the lower divisions in the league that I have no anticipation to really exceed. And it's curious to me because last year we saw CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans try to actually push their way towards a division championship, which to me was a bit surprising. It's interesting to see this division evolve over the years, as we had the Tennessee Titans kind of hold the ground for a little bit before Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars came into the picture. It almost felt like they had a fluke going to the postseason, as they really hadn't had much success in recent years. As Tennessee and Jacksonville look to continue to develop their organization, it seems like a lot of people are surrounding this division between the Houston Texans and possibly even the Indianapolis Colts. I know one of the questions that I've seen and one of the topics that I've seen talked about the South particularly lies within the Indianapolis Colts, as they have Anthony Richardson and they also picked up Daniel Jones in the offseason. It felt like they had a comfortable quarterback situation. Earlier this preseason, the Colts announced that Daniel Jones, the former quarterback for the New York Giants, will be getting the starting nod for game 1 of their season. Although that's exciting, it does alert questions to what's the future look like for an Anthony Richardson. As Daniel Jones comes over from the New York Giants and have a fresh start in Indianapolis, there's a little bit of hope that the Colts are pushing towards a division, if not wild card stand. The other side of the conversation is what's next for Anthony Richardson. Does the Colts just decide to give him some time to develop as a backup quarterback before giving him another shot? Or is this part of an elaborate scheme, as a quarterback such as Arch Manning is expected to be in the 2026 draft next year? Arch Manning, relations to Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, possibly headed to the NFL. The Colts will love nothing more but to be able to sign a generational quarterback. With that being said, depending on their strategies, I don't believe that any team should head into the season looking to tank just to get the number 1 draft pick of the following year. Sure, it's something that after 6 to maybe 8 weeks, when you establish yourself, you can be like, all right, our focus is not on the division this year. We're pretty far separated. We're going to change our attention to next year and how we can better ourselves for next season. Maybe that is to get the number 1 draft pick and draft the quarterback hopes for our future. I think with the controversy, we'll have to just wait and see what Daniel Jones brings to the table. Like I mentioned, this is a clean start for Daniel Jones. It's exciting. But CJ Stroud is building chemistry with the Texans and remains hopeful throughout the course of the season. According to the Athlon Sports magazine, the Houston Texans are their number 1 pick for the division, followed by the Colts, then the Jaguars, and then the Titans. And I feel like that's pretty accurate in my books. They don't have another team representing the South to take the division. And to be honest, it's not a great division. As I mentioned, notoriously, it's going to find themselves with the one team that maybe has no more than 10 wins, and the rest of the division playing under 500 football. The certainty is sure, and that is anything can happen. Cam Ward, Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones could all have an excellent year, and that's what makes this division interesting to pay attention to. No, don't expect a lot of high talent success coming out of the South, but I'm not giving up on a entertaining division. Just like we talked about the Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders being a interesting division to pay attention to this season, especially out of the AFC conference. The AFC South conference division, although they're in the opposite position that the AFC West provides, they do make an interesting battle. So in my prediction, I have the Houston Texans taking away another division. I have the Indianapolis Colts coming in. The only trouble that I see, and this is where I could find the Colts come in third, is if they play too much between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. So I hope we get an actual clear understanding of what the strategy and the game plan is for the quarterback position in the future, because there's no guarantees that they get the number one pick. And if so, that's a lot that you're risking a lot on a future quarterback that may or may not be promising for the Indianapolis Colts. But I had them down as number 2. I would love to see nothing more but a Trevor Lawrence make a comeback, take the Jaguars to a wild card, even a division win again. I just don't see that that's where they're at. And the Tennessee Titans have some unfinished questions to answer. That is my predictions for the AFC South. Let's move on over to the NFC South. A division that resembles the AFC South in outcome, but we also may find that one or two teams that stand apart from each other. The Athlon Sports magazine predicts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the NFC South division champions, followed by the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, and then the New Orleans Saints. They have the Buccaneers coming in third, with the Falcons also taking the last wild card spot. In my prediction, I don't think that we have that the NFC South has a better team put together than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have to admit, Baker Mayfield has gotten a couple of chances, was given up on by the Cleveland Browns, shown some light over there in Los Angeles. Now he finds himself under a community of Tampa Bay and Florida and fans that could get behind him. I've heard nothing but great things coming from Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. And that leads me towards, well, why, if he's that genuine of a quarterback and he's found his home, there shouldn't be no reason why he takes another division. Alongside with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I believe that their offense ability is quite unique. I don't feel like they have a difficult division, as I feel matchups coming into this season are going to level out pretty fairly. It's always a good time against Atlanta, taking on Houston. Philadelphia would be an interesting matchup. Playing against Seattle, I would like to watch. The Saints will be also a good one. I would like to see them up against New England, the Rams, Miami. Teams that it could go either way. I actually am prone to now take it the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side. Excuse me. So I have them winning the division. And I wouldn't even mind seeing them go into the division, the NFC championship game. Coming in my second place, I do have the Atlanta Falcons, as they have Ben John Robinson, Michael Penix Jr. They are building. They're not quite there yet. Like I said, the entire division is going to be separated by one, maybe two teams. Now, they only picked up 8 wins last season. I think they're going to average about the same, maybe even 9, sliding into a wild card position. Where I see coming in a little bit differently, it's going to be I actually going to go ahead and go with the Panthers. This is another year with Bryce Young. I believe that they're confident in their quarterback for the next few years. You got Andy Green, who's also, has really put themselves in a position to excel and to protect Bryce Young in troubled times. You have Chuba Hubbard as your running back. And I don't think it's a terrible team. Now, are they better than a 6-7 win? Probably. I think they go up to maybe a 6, maybe even a 7, tweedling the notion of possibly a postseason run. I just think they come short. Coming in my 4th spot, the New Orleans Saints only picked up 5 wins last year. I don't see, they have Tyler Shaw as quarterback. They got a lot to develop. They don't really have a lot of great people right now. I feel like they're missing that missing piece. Every team, I think, has that piece that you surround by. It's that town's hero. Remember when Drew Brees, after Hurricane Katrina came in, Drew Brees over in New Orleans kind of helped be the tout to help deliver the Super Bowl. I just don't quite, Alvin Kamara is possibly that one of those guys, but otherwise you don't have much on the team to go off of. And I struggle to see them succeed. I want them to succeed. I like the New Orleans Saints, but I struggle. I see them in last place. I see games that they should be winning against Arizona, games like Seattle, the Giants, possibly Chicago. Simple games that they should win. I don't know if you should even go win with them in the favor. So, in my opinion, that the Saints are going to finish in last place. So, in the AFC South, I have the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Tennessee Titans. In the NFC South, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, and the New Orleans Saints. The only controversy that I have with this, other than despite the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I am confident in winning a division, that the South in both divisions are kind of up in the air. Teams can have a good streak. It's going to be based all up on them. All right, coming into the AFC and the division that I know people want to listen about, especially in the local Cincinnati area, that's the AFC North. The AFC North Bengals, excuse me, earlier after the preseason ended, the Bengals had made significant jumps in signing Trey Hendrickson to a 1-year deal, as well as picking up free agent offensive lineman. We got his name already. Dalton Rinsner. And I think people are excited, relieved. Hey, we have our defensive player. Still with Trey Hendrickson, the defense is not ranked anything higher than 25 from last year. So all we really did was secure a defensive lineman that we already expected to be on this ball club this season. Then we also picked up an offensive line that looks pretty talented, that is promising. He had a good run with the Minnesota Vikings. We picked him up under free agency. The point that I want to point out here for the Cincinnati Bengals is how much improvement we see these two selections. They're kind of a win, in my opinion. But how much more does this really improve this team? Trey Hendrickson, as I mentioned, is a player who is already expecting to be on this ball club come opening day. We already know what his capabilities are. We signed this 1-year deal, and it is something that, although we could be excited about, it's more of just a relief that we do have him, not an excitement because we didn't go pick up anyone special. Dalton Risner. I think this would have been much bigger news if the offensive line was coming into this season healthy. But the matter of the fact is that Cordell Volslin got injured during preseason. He is going to be out for the entire season with the shoulder injury. He was your starting right guard before the preseason started. So all we're doing by bringing in Dalton is bringing in someone to even the guy that we lost for the entire season. So realistically, who did we really advance? How did we advance and to become a better team? Dalton's not the missing piece to this offense. Now, would he play, or is he going to play better than Cordell Volslin? Possibly. Is he going to be better than who's the backup lineman here? Let me find that out. He's a rookie. Dylan Fairchild? Possibly. I mean, you got Lucas Patrick over there at right guard. So we lost a left guard. That's what I meant to say. We got Cody Ford. So, yeah, you're adding, but like I said, Cordell Volson is no longer, he's not inclusive on the team this year. He's out with an injury all season long. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery. Hopefully it doesn't affect his career. But as I mentioned, we're taking this news as if this is going to impact the Cincinnati Bengals, when all you're really doing is getting back to square one. And that was having a healthy team and a complete team heading into Cleveland in game 1. So after thinking about this, I still don't have the Bengals as number 1. Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, they're on that hunt. And that hunt is to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We see the Kansas City Chiefs. They're kind of at the back end of everything, their success. They're still running long. We're questioning how much longer do they have. They're looking to have, 10, 11 consecutive division titles coming up this season. And we're looking for that next team that can replace the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC. And when you look at the combination, no, I don't think that a Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and DeAndre Hopkins, that's borderline better than the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins situation. I feel like they had the more whip power. They wanted, they made it to the AFC playoffs last year. They won the division. And I think that they are one of the top competitors in the predictions this year. Athlon Sports have them beating the Bengals in the wild card, beating the Chiefs, and then losing to the Bills. So I do have the Ravens finishing off on top. But with officially signing Trey Hendrickson, knowing that he'll be playing the first snap of the game number 1 in the regular season, knowing that we did add an improvement and assistance to the Bengals O-line this year, I strongly believe that the Bengals slide in at number 2. I think that they have a lot to work on, and I think they're kind of going to be the underdogs in this season, especially in this division. A lot of people are doubting them. They're calling their defense one of the worst defenses in franchise history and all of the NFL. And so the notion is going to be, let's prove this team, this division and this league wrong. Let's prove them that, the Super Bowl run a couple years ago wasn't a fluke. Our playoff runs wasn't a waste of time, that we are capable of going back to the playoffs and even winning a playoff game. There's going to be a lot of proving wrong here in this team here. Coming in at number 3 in this division, it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I think that they're going to have a strong case picking up Aaron Rodgers. You got Mason Rudolph back at the realms here. And then you also got Skylar Thompson as well, I believe. At least that's what's according to Athlon. You have DK Metcalf, right? Robert Woods, Jalen Warden. The point is that Mike Tomlin wants to stay relevant. And I think as long as he has a winning record, then he's going to succeed. And I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have anything less of at least a 9-8 record heading into at the result of this season. They don't have a difficult schedule ahead. They take on the Jets and Seattle, New England, first 3 easy games. The Minnesota game at the end of September is going to be in Dublin, Ireland. Then we have Cleveland, Cincinnati. I mean, they have a couple of struggle ones, but Indianapolis is a good one. Colts, Chargers. Plus, it's Aaron Rodgers. I think he has a little bit more motivation to fight for. Coming in at number 4 is going to be the Cleveland Browns. I don't know exactly what's going on for them. They got Kenny Pickett. They got Joe Flacco. They got Sanders. I don't know exactly. So Shedeur Sanders. A team that doesn't know what their quarterback situation looks like. And I think that they're still struggling to get over the fact that Deshaun Watson failed tremendously, and now they have to eat that scenario. And it's not going to be an overnight fix. I think that they are going to, I think they're going to be very cautious about the next moves that they make. And it's going to be some dark days, I believe, in Cleveland before we could finally move on and get over. Now, you're hoping that Joe Flacco has a solid, run this year. He's taken a different approach. But if not, hey, you have Kenny Pickett. And at some point, maybe your overall goal is to get Shedeur Sanders to a starting point. The thing, what I like about this situation, and I don't know what the Browns are really going for, but what I like is that is not to rush your quarterback to be your top star guy. A lot of quarterbacks have been placed in over the last 10 years as the next guy. They come in, not even 4 games later of the first season, they're starting. And teams look to them to be their next franchise. And yeah, it works. It worked with Joe Burrow, worked with Patrick Mahomes, it worked with, Jalen Hurts. But realistically, I do, call me an old school football player, but I do enjoy where a quarterback gets shaped, molded, and developed in the city he is playing to be taken over, and then he succeeds. Jordan Love is a prime example. Aaron Rodgers is a prime example, playing under their mentors, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and then go on to have themselves a solid career. What Jimmy Garoppolo had that was under Tom Brady. Didn't have success in New England, went over to San Francisco, had a few years success. I mean, Brock Purdy came behind Trey Lance. Rivers had a decent career with being under Drew Brees. And so my point is that you can take a rookie quarterback and you don't have to rush them to get onto the field. You get, I think football has changed in that dynamic over the years that we don't see that, and the pressure quickly fails. And that's why the questions are, Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, you have Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and just so on, that I think are struggling to find their place in the NFL because they haven't been molded. They haven't been shaped. NFL is claiming, hey, we're bringing over the college football criterias, and it's going to be the same dynamic. And no, it's not. I don't see it. It's nothing like college football. So I do have the Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, and then the Browns and the AFC North. I have the Bengals getting back to a wild card. I don't know if the Steelers can, but I think they could possibly. All right, so we're going to wrap things up in NFC North, and I think this is a unique division now since the breaking news that came out last week with the fact that Micah Pearson got traded from the Cowboys to the Packers for hardly anything. We know the controversy during the preseason between Jerry Jones, Micah Parsons wanting contracts, and I'm listening a lot about the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones failures. It makes a lot of sense. They could have saved so much money if they'd done things years ago, and they haven't. They missed opportunities. It's now costing them. They didn't get nothing in return for Micah Parsons, hardly ever. I mean, yeah, they have the next 4 years of first round draft picks set up, but I mean, sure, the Packers are dealing with the injured Jordan Love, but they are one of the top teams, in my opinion, that can still hang in there. I do believe, though, that the Lions are just inching closer each and every year to being being that next team, and maybe they take advantage of a Jordan Love's, not being 100%, and they can win a division. Athlon Sports has the Lions winning the division. They have the Packers making it to a wild card, Minnesota coming in third, and the Chicago Bears coming in fourth. Very similar. I have the Lions being able to, I think it was step-by-step process, right? Get to 500 football, now win your division, now get to the postseason, and then go on and win a division there. I think they're able to accomplish all of that. Now, I don't know how far. I don't think they go too far into maybe to the championship game. I know that's a far stretch, but I don't know if, but I do know that they are going to the playoffs. With Michael Parsons defense, I think this puts a lot of good, better scenarios. Definitely a big help to their defense. They'll see the Bengals later on this year, I believe. Nope. Sorry. They kick off in Philadelphia, Indianapolis. They got the Rams. They got Jacksonville, Miami, the Saints, Minnesota. What team? They're facing the South this year. So they do avoid the Bengals, which is great. They don't have to face the Cowboys, which is another good thing. They don't have to see them in return. I just think that let me look at the right schedule. Sorry, I had it on the last season. They got Baltimore. They got Cincinnati at home. They do have Dallas. They will see Dallas at the end of September. So I just think a lot of these games that maybe you winged out Green Bay in scenarios like possibly Washington, Detroit, Minnesota, Philadelphia, you could probably wipe them out. Baltimore probably will end up wiping them out in the occasion of picking up a victory. Now you just kind of add them back in. I think they come out another 11, maybe 12 wins. Minnesota Vikings is also my next selection at number 3. You got Justin Jefferson. You got J.J. McCarthy there. I think that you take this year, you may slide into a wild card spot. You may not, but it's going to be a learning curve. It's not going to be a one and done, and I don't want the Vikings to give up on their quarterback right away. Just let him come in, let him develop. Yeah, I think he has a strong suit. He has a good offensive line to protect him, and I think after you build some chemistry, you're capable of you're capable of providing more and getting back to a postseason. Nonetheless, look, in the NFC, I really like the NFC North battles, and I would be paying close attention to those battles and those games. I feel like they really have improved over the years. The Lions and the Packers, and then throw in the Vikings, you have to watch. I think anything coming out of maybe Washington Commanders, keep them in your peripheral vision of having a good season. Whether the Cowboys are in the postseason or not, or a good team or not, I don't have an emphasis to say, all right, you got to watch them. I'll tune into them on Thanksgiving because I love football on Thanksgiving. I'll tune them into the primetime games, but I'm not going to say, all right, when's the Cowboys playing next and who are they playing? I don't think they're playing the Bengals this year, are they? I don't see them on the schedule, which is a good thing. And we don't have to deal with it. But the North is going to be the team for me that I would like to watch in the NFC. You got teams that I kind of want to put out there. Being a former used to living in San Diego, I was a Chargers fan. Flipped over to the Rams. Seahawks look pretty solid, so I'm liking those two combinations. And then Tampa Bay, maybe see how Bryce Young comes away with the Panthers and if they can improve. So those are the things that I'm really looking out for. I'm predicting the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl. I mean, don't get me wrong, unless maybe Detroit's kind of the runners up. I like Tampa Bay and I like Washington kind of going into the divisional round. And I do like the Rams, Seahawks in the wild card. I like the Packers in the wild card and possibly even Washington in the wild card. AFC, I think similar. I think, I've told you, as the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC. The Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC. The Ravens and Bills, I think, are right there by them. What's good about the wild card here this year is that for a team like the Bengals, like the Broncos, like even the Chargers, I don't think there's much of a battle. You just got to play your solid baseball, and on a good note, you're going to end up winning earning a wild card spot. It's when you get to the wild card spot and you have to go to Buffalo or you have to go to Baltimore and it's freezing cold out there. Maybe the Broncos, maybe the Bengals are used to the weather climate. But, those are going to be the challenges. And then if you can survive the Bills or the Ravens or even the Chiefs, it's still cold in Kansas City. If you could survive them, then it's, who's next? It's going to become Whit Power. But I actually have the Ravens. It's going to be I predict the Ravens and the Eagles this year. I think this is the year Lamar Jackson can show how serious he is. He finally has that contract past him. He's a long life Ravens. He is, he has a great front, Zay Flowers, a great front set of guys that I'm just, you're excited to watch. It's one of those teams that, when we talk about, coming down to 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter or when the game's on the line, either your offense has to step up or your defense is going to have to step it up and stop some points. And when you look at the Chiefs, they could do that. You actually get nervous if you're the opponent because Chiefs could run down the field in 2 minutes and they could hold on offense for 2 minutes. Well, guess what? The Ravens are right there. The Bills have shown strong promises that they're right there too. So that's what makes them good. And I guess that's where I keep the Bengals out of it. Not because I don't like the Bengals. I love the Bengals. But I can't agree that they can stop the defense in 2-minute warnings or they can have an offensive run even with the guys they have when the game's on the line. And I'm not saying that, it's not Joe Burrow. He's a great quarterback. It's not Jamar Chase. It's not T. Higgins. It's the rest of the offense. It's going up against a good defense. So, yeah. I mean, that's my predictions, kind of accurate. I kind of like referencing a magazine, so I'm not like just referencing myself, like to give my take. Maybe kind of helps me whether I'm like stuck on a team, whether it's in one position or not. But yeah, that's our prediction. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, who you guys think are going to walk out victorious. Like I said, if you guys are looking for the predictions for the AFC, NFC, East and West, go check out our previous 3 episodes. I'll put them up in the cards on top of this video. I'll also, I don't have them under a playlist, quite frankly, but yeah. So that's great way to kick off this week. We'll come back. We'll give you our week 1 predictions, and I'm looking forward to it. NFL season's on the horizon. Thank you guys for tuning in to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. My name is Justin. Until next time, you enjoy the rest of your day.